Hello everybody, this is probably an opportune time to talk about the HSC year ahead. 4 terms till you, the students, are facing your HSC exam, and we would like to see you get the most out of that you can. That often involves understanding the game that you're playing. So, in the interests of just clarifying things, first of all of you will be doing Mathematics Advanced, which is 2 units, and most of you will continue on with Mathematics Extension 1, which adds another 1 unit, so you're doing 3 units of mathematics altogether. That means that you'll do 3 units of time on maths, and you'll also do 3 units worth of assessment and 3 units worth of homework. But what I hope to do is to point out that it's actually worth more than 3 units in a sense towards your ATAR. Some of you are also considering Mathematics Extension 2, which will add another 1 unit, so you'd be doing 4 units of maths altogether. Now, if that's the case, then all through year 12, you'll do the advanced tasks, you'll do the Extension 1 tasks, and you'll do the Extension 2 tasks, up until around the trial, when we know that you're firmly committed to Extension 2. When that comes to play, then those 2 courses are the only ones that you do a HSC exam in, and they will contribute 4 units to your HSC result. So let's have a look at what Mathematics Advanced entails. So there are 4 assessment tasks. They will result in an accumulated mark of 100, which we'll send to the Board of Studies. You unfortunately don't get to see that final mark. You simply see your rank order. You'll do a 3-hour HSC exam, and there'll be a raw exam result, which none of us get to see, and the Board of Studies will performance align it, or standards reference it, so that you'll get a mark out of 100, which is your HSC exam mark, performance aligned. That mark and the mark of all the students from our school will be used to moderate our school's assessment results, and you'll get a moderated assessment mark out of 100. Those 2 marks will then be averaged, and your HSC mark will be out of 100. The performance alignment involves experience markers lining up the expected performance standards against the results, so that if you score, for example, a mark between 90 and 100, you're allocated a band 6, and that means that in the judgment of the markers, you show extensive knowledge and skills, you show sophisticated multi-step reasoning, and so on. Band 2 is what you get if you have a mark between 50 and 59. So between 50 and 59, you can see the expectation is obviously lower. Correctly applies arithmetic and basic algebraic procedures, and so on. If you get less than 50, this is the performance aligned mark, then you're in band 1, and there's no performance description. It's just that you have met some of the outcomes. Now, in between band 2 and 6, obviously there are other bands, and so if you get a mark performance aligned between 60 and 69, you're in band 3, 70 and 79, band 4, 80 and 89, band 5. Across the state, 24% of the students get a band 6 for advanced maths, but we need to remember that that includes the Extension 1 students as well, who sit that same paper. And again, across the state, these are the percentages of all the bands. So across the state, the 2 and 3 unit students combined, or advanced and Extension 1, I'm showing my age, the median band is band 5. Now, if you do Mathematics Extension 1, as most of you will continue to do, then you'll again do 4 further assessment tasks. You'll have a mark out of 50, which we'll send into the board, because this is only a 1 unit course. You'll do a 2-hour HSC exam. Likewise, it will be standards referenced and used to moderate our assessment marks, and again you'll get an average HSC mark out of 50. If you do Extension 2, then in theory, because it's a 1 unit task, a 1 unit course, the marks are out of 50. But because of the fact that if you're doing both of these courses, Extension 1 and Extension 2, you don't do the advanced exam, it effectively means that your Extension 1 paper and your Extension 2 paper and assessment are going to give you marks out of 100. So you have potentially 200 marks available to your ATAR from that. In both Extension 1 and Extension 2, there are not 6 bands, there are 4 bands. They are called extensions. So E4 is the highest, and this is the description for Extension 1. You can see exhibits extensive knowledge and skills, synthesizes mathematical techniques, etc. So if you get a band E4, then on a 1 unit basis, you're getting marks in the range 45 to 90. Band 2 is from 25 to 34, obviously a lot downgraded description. Band 1, less than 25, and Band 3 in between. And again, across the state, 38% of students get a Band E4 in Extension 1 Maths, 44, E3, and so on. But, similarly to the 2 unit case, the Band E4 results include those students who've done Extension 2. Finally, in Extension 2, Band E4, 1/3 approximately of the students can expect to get a Band E4, around half an E3, and 13% E2 and 2% E1. Now what's really interesting is the way that these different courses determine your ATAR. And Extension 1 Maths, and even more so Extension 2 Maths, have significant scaling advantages. So that's what I meant earlier on when I said that they could contribute effectively more than 3 or 4 units worth of results. Now, this table here, which is not easy to understand, has scaled mark up this side, up the left-hand side, so that's your contribution to your ATAR, and the percentile, which is the percentage of the students you're ahead of. So if we consider this vertical line here, this is the 25th percentile, which means that at this point you've beaten only a quarter of the students. So if we concentrate on the 2 unit course up here, the advanced course, if you've beaten a quarter of the students, you can expect to get a scaled mark per unit, this is, of 25. Which means a mark for your advanced maths of 50. If you've beaten a quarter of the students in Extension 1, then for that extra unit you can expect to get a little bit more than 35. And if you've beaten only a quarter of the students in Extension 2, you're going to get over 41 marks out of a possible 50 for your unit, which is really good. You can be a quarter of the way through this course and get a 41 out of 50 towards your HSC. So these are the exact values. Now, if we went across to, say, the 50th percentile, so you're beating half the students, then you're going to get a return for your money, if you like, of a 65 out of 100 in 2 unit. Your extra 1 unit could return you 35 out of 50, so the equivalent of 70 odd out of, sorry, can't read the graph myself, I need my glasses on, 40 odd, so around about the equivalent of 80 out of 100, and Extension 2 way up here, 44, which if you are doing Extension 2 will then become an 88 out of 100. Now this graph can also be thought of in terms of these horizontal lines. So if you were a quarter of the way from the bottom for your extension students, getting 35.3, where would you have to be to get an equivalent mark per unit in mathematics? You'd have to be round about the 62% mark. So you'd have to be beating 62% of the students in in advanced maths, which is what we hope you would be. But I guess what I'm trying to point out is that these two courses here offer very good scaling advantages, particularly when you get up around this region here. You're going to be doing very well. 2-unit maths, when you get to the very pointy end, you're getting similar advantages. And I guess I should point out that 2-unit maths scales very well in comparison to most other 2-unit subjects. General maths doesn't scale very well until you get right up at the very pointy end. And actually, it's impossible to get these very highest marks, or at least it was in 2017, where these figures are from. So, this is the distribution of marks, raw marks, for your task 3. Now, it was a tough task. I guess we have to say that up front to start with. And what do these marks really mean? Well, the only significance that we can attach to those is the significance based on the experience of the teachers. So if we look at these marks here, we can see that 1/4 of the students got between somewhere around 58, I think it is, and 88 up here. Another 1/4 of the students got between, looks like about 45 and 58. Another 1/4 of the students, so this is the bottom quarter cut off, from about 22 to 45, and another 1/4 were below that mark there. So we've gone through the paper, we've looked at what students who've got bands in exams in the past may have got, and we've extrapolated. And it's guesswork, because that's all that the actual setting of standards for the HSC is. It's based on a judgment by a marker. So we think that perhaps cut-offs for this exam should be that you would be in E3 if you got maybe 64, 63. Anywhere above that would put you in E4. This is as a percentage. E2, if you got anywhere above about 24%. If you got below 24%, then you're probably in E1. These were the percentages which this cohort got. So you can see we're down on E4s. Got about the right number of E3s, E2s, probably too many E1s. Now this reflects, I guess, the fact that some people have been continuing with Extension 1, which has been a great thing. I think if they look at their mathematical maturity and the level of maths and difficulty of problems that they can cope with, the Extension 1 has been a really good investment of time. We hope over time to have our students mature, because this is only 3 terms into a 7-term course, so that we can push more students into the E4 range. And we're going to talk about strategies which might do that. So, what if I told you that at the moment your mark for the HSC is actually 0? But the thing is that you're ranked equal first, because whatever your mark in the preliminary is or was is probably a better description, it is now finished. Your assessment starts again, so you're on the same mark as everybody else. What you do with that mark depends on your attempts at the assessment tasks. And what do you need to do to actually do as well as possible? Well, it's not rocket science. First of all, you need to work at understanding. Memorization is good for basic facts, but it will only get you so far. Understanding is key to coping with high levels of maths. You need to work at connecting ideas so that you can reduce what seems at times like a huge amount of work into a manageable amount of work. You need to work at problem solving, and this is probably our biggest challenge, making sure that we read what's there, that we respond to what's there, and we basically try to solve problems on the basis of our knowledge. The key term, of course, is to work. There's a lot of work because you are not only doing 3 units of maths if you're doing Extension 1, but you're doing 3 units of one of the most rigorous subjects in the curriculum and you're going to get, hopefully, the scaling reward as a result of attempting that difficult set of units. There are some keys, and we'll talk about more in class, but working consistently is one. You can't afford to have a flurry and relax, have a flurry and relax. You need to be doing something every day. And you need to work with purpose. You need to know why you're doing a particular exercise. You need to think about why you're doing homework. And when you do that, you will make these connections and you will increase your understanding. So we've put together a video review of the exam. We'll have a look at that in class, and it's there for you to look at any time. And when we go through that, you will see the mistakes that you've made, the areas where your understanding is not sufficient, the problem-solving deficiencies, and hopefully we'll be able to do something about it, because we have a year. We have 4 terms to finish the course and to improve your mathematical maturity. And when you look at how far you've come in terms of your mathematical maturity in 3 terms, imagine what another 4 terms will do. So let's buckle down for the year ahead.